a home at all, where the poor people are going to be able to eat at all. These are the priorities. And not from any vindictiveness. Nobody is vindictive. Caught in the massive inflationary pressures that have hit us in world trade, and with the balance of payments difficulties that we have had to declare our priorities clearly. And one of our priorities is to try to discourage the consumption of gas because we can't afford it. One of the first things we did was to stop the importation of the gas guzzlers. You know, the cars that are lucky if you get 10 miles to the gallon out of them. We stopped that a long time ago because we just couldn't afford the gas bill. In any case, the cars were too big. You know, it's a mountainous country with winding roads, and some of the cars, you had to articulate them in the middle to get them around the corners. And that's not very easy to do. And secondly, we now stopped the importation of cars altogether because we just don't think it's a priority in foreign exchange. And besides, it's a good thing not to import cars for a time, because a lot of people will develop skills in maintenance and repair work and build a stronger base to that side of the economy and the workforce. And the cars, you know, they can keep running. And I see a heck of a lot of cars in Jamaica anyway, and they all seem to be running, so I don't think there's a problem. Now, over certain other things, we've said very frankly to the people that for two reasons, we can't allow the old level of imports. Reason number one, because we have to go through a period of sacrifice, during which Jamaica depends less on importing things that other people make, so that we learn to make them for ourselves. With 25% unemployment, we really cannot afford to have a society that takes its purchasing power to support other economies that are not suffering our problems when we could do those things for ourselves. That's one. And secondly is just a straight, immediate response to balance of payments difficulties themselves, where apart from reasons of economic policy, we also have had to cut out the whole range of luxury imports so as to leave the foreign exchange for the essentials. Now that has created shortages. And you know, we have been honest with the people. We warned them it was going to happen. And we are sorry about it, and you know, nobody is being mean about it. And a lot of people are taking it with great courage. And a lot of other people feel that there is some sort of inbuilt right to some product, which really isn't essential. And because they've got their minds locked into that product and can't get that particular product, they think the whole world has come to an end because it isn't available. We're sorry about that, but you know, life is a tough business and we have to survive.
This then is the root issue then, the willingness of a people to pay a price in order to achieve a certain kind of society. I guess this is the root question.
This is the root question, and the Jamaican people, the majority of the Jamaican people have the will. You know, we fought the last election in December 1976 without a promise. All we promised was a tough time. But we said the reason why we're going to make these sacrifices is because I must have made nearly 200 speeches all over Jamaica, and every speech carried one message. There is no easy road, but if you're going to become an independent nation, if you're going to build a society that's based on the idea of justice, you must start with the objective realities that you're dealing with. And you're going to have to pay a price, but you're paying a price for your children.
How does one stop the brush fire, though it seems to be a contagion? It seems as though one person's unrest seems to be catching.
Yeah.
And now from the very wealthy who are leaving, you see middle-class Jamaicans, tellers in banks and things of that nature,
yeah,
who are becoming restless. That must concern you, and how do you grapple with that?
The only way, it is a great concern, and one is worried about it, and we do our best to try to give people a better understanding about it. The only thing that you can do is a constant political education. First of all, you have to be absolutely honest, which I always try to be, and we always try to be. Never fool the people. Never give the people any false hopes. Treat the people on a basis of respect for their intelligence. And the second thing is to just constantly explain, and constantly set in a context the sacrifices of today as being the contribution to a particular kind of society that you're going to build in the future. And you know, it's very interesting in that there are a lot of people who get very upset, and some eventually give up the struggle and leave. But you'd be amazed at how many more are infused, they're alight with enthusiasm about what they're doing.
Many say it is sad, though, Mr. Prime Minister, that so many talented Jamaicans have left. So many people with expertise, doctors, engineers.
Yeah, and I am among those. We're sorry about that.
The society that you seek for Jamaica seems to be dependent on a world climate that can make it possible. And you have talked recently about a new international economic order. Describe that, and also how it is germane to Jamaica.
Yeah. Just one small comment. I first begun talking about a new world economic order and the problems that make it necessary and I hope inevitable in 1970. And there's a group of us who have been working on this for a long time, but you know, new ideas take a long time to get to the surface of the world's consciousness. But there's a group of us who have seen this for a long time, and I would explain it in this way. I want to distinguish very sharply between economy, in the sense of, say, how the United States of America does its business inside its own shores, and the world economy, which is the question, how does Jamaica, Cuba, Trinidad, Guyana trade abroad, export, import? How does capital move from one country to another? How does technology move from one country to another? There's a whole system of international economic relations which are the primary object of the things that we call a new international economic order. Now, what are those arrangements characterized by? In simple terms, as follows. In that world, there are really two parts. I'm oversimplifying somewhat. There is the developed Western nation, which has enormous industrial power, very developed technology, and which were originally the countries that were the rulers,
Yes.
the colonizers, the imperialists. There is the great majority of the world's population who were the colonized, who were the victims of imperialism, who don't have great industrial power, who do not have great technology, who are essentially the producers of primary products, because that is how imperialism developed. You developed a colony to supply raw materials and to be a dumping ground for manufactured goods. Now, if you look at what happens within that system, historically, we as a small country import tractors, machinery, all the things that we do not have the size and the sophistication to do for ourselves. And the prices of those things move inexorably upward year after year after year. And we have to import those things. To pay for those things, we sell sugar. And one year we may get the price bumping up a little. Most years the price is just where it always was. And so we're caught in a situation where every time we send sugar for a tractor, every year we're sending more sugar, but we don't have more land. So that in the end we are condemned to poverty by the nature of the exchange. There is nowhere else to go except down. We're in the dilemma as a result that when we talk about progress, we're trying to get to the second floor of progress on a system that only has a down escalator. That's our problem. How to run up the escalator that's going down. And you get that in the same way when capital moves, the price that it charges for moving from one country to another means that in the end, you are not sure that you get a gain out of its movement at all. Transfer of technology, by the time the royalties, the fees are charged, right, it is almost better not to have the technology. Now, this is the way the system works now. I would like to describe it in this way, if I may. If you look at a country like United States, Canada, almost any country in the world today, you have an internal system of exchange. You have, for example, farmers, and you have an industrial sector that lives in cities. And you have had to live through this problem that the supplier of raw materials and food in your own society has always tended to slip behind by comparison with those who are the beneficiaries of industrial development. You may have a problem of unemployment, but once you're in the system,